guest today is none other than Susan Gilbert. Susan is a brand, book, and marketing strategist who supports entrepreneurs in growing their businesses, their impact, and their global reach. A USA Today, Wall Street Journal, and Amazon best-selling author, Susan walks the talk. She's the author and publisher of her gift book, The Land of I Can, and has demonstrated her hands-on success in both traditional and online publishing. Susan is well known for working with highly successful entrepreneurs to clarify their brand and book messaging and combine savvy marketing and digital tactical understanding with her entrepreneurial experiences to create buzz marketing online promotion for both authors and publishers. She also had a strain of beautiful coffee shops and has done so many transformational things.
It's always interesting to be a guest on a show and have an intro like that and go, oh, I really want to listen to that person. Who is that?
Well, that would be you. That would be
okay. You. All right. Well, I really deeply appreciate you, Anna, and all the people that you are bringing to the stage in addition to myself.
And today we are talking about something, a continuation of last time, where you helped uncover or helped us understand how to uncover our golden idea. And then we actually encountered through conversation with the audience, one of the big blocks in that, which is being seen.
Just to reframe for anyone who wasn't here, and then we'll go right into the be seen and the resistance that comes up to being seen, which we were actually talking a little bit about before the official call began, is that when we are what I call a messenger in the world, and we identify the person who we serve and why that's important to us, then we go into the what to identify what is the solution that we provide for that person as a messenger. Why then are you the one who is going to put their stake in the ground and be the messenger to build the brand, to write the book, to carry the message out into the world? For me, the answer to the third question, while it varies for everybody on the first two, is because you have a uniqueness to you and you have a passion about this topic and this message. Now, while all of us have that uniqueness, not everyone has the passion and the desire to get the message out. This messenger idea, which came to me when the idea of the book, The Land of I Can, came through me, and I had a hard time putting my name on the gift book because people would say, oh, you're the author of, and I'd be like, no, it came through me. It's not me. Now, I realize now that was just my stalling techniques and that I hadn't grown into it yet, but I put a little sticky pad on my computer screen, and it said, I've received the message. I accept being the messenger, and I will carry the message out into the world. And I did that. And I was passionate about it. I didn't know exactly how it was all going to unfold. Like, we don't know the answers to what the future looks like. I just knew that right then and there, I was a messenger, and I was passionate. With everything that has changed in the world since then, there was no social media back then. The internet was just up and coming back then. So my work was done at local bookstores and the Hallmark stores and the gift shops. And anytime people would bring me in to, a church environment, wherever it was, I was willing to show up and be there in person, because there was radio, and I did do some radio, but that's pretty much the only way that you could get a message out then. Now we've got Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and TikTok, and Google Plus is gone, but it's just Twitter. It's ever changing, and we have so many options. So if anybody does go into a place of, who am I to do this? The noise as an influencer is really, really, really strong. So my short answer is that it still goes back to, do you have the passion to be a messenger? And if you do, you have to get over yourself. And I'm not saying that's easy. And I'm not saying that you won't trip and fall along the way. I really identify with what Veronica was saying before we actually started, because I too fall into the position of, I don't really like doing Facebook Lives where I don't have an audience. I'm talking into a camera. I can't see people's faces. I don't know if they're resonating. Now, if I'm doing a Zoom call and I can see faces, I'm fine, even though it's virtual. But just going out into the void is very challenging for me. So I find ways to do it. I do things with people like Anna, who so graciously has included me in this and other programs that she's doing, because I get to get my message out and I am willing to overcome being on camera. It's not a fear. I just don't like it. I'm an introvert. I've always wanted to be behind the scenes, working with my clients. That goes back to even when I had the coffee shops that you mentioned, Anna. I was the person behind the scenes, making it all work, making sure that things were going well in the kitchen, making sure that everything was going okay in the front of the house, going from location to location to the 5 locations, making sure that everything was running well, that the team was doing well, that the customers were happy. But I wasn't the person behind the counter serving the coffee and handing out the muffins. I was not the front person. So in all of my work in the world, that's the way I've rolled. However, being a messenger requires you to be visible. If you feel strongly enough about your message, you just have to get over it. And you have to say, I can't help that person if I'm not visible. I can't reach my audience if I'm not visible. And I really, really want to serve. And if I'm the cowardly lion rather than the courageous lion, well, then I'm going to go off into my den and hide and do what I can behind the scenes. So it does require courage to come forward. And each time we take that step forward, we will build the muscle of what works for us. I'm never going to be an extrovert. Just isn't going to happen. And when I do, I've got another call, a virtual meetup call in about an hour after yours, Anna. I have a meeting with somebody that I met in a virtual networking environment. After that, I have to kind of go back and rejuvenate my energy and do, whether it's breath work or playing with Red here in the office. Red is my standard poodle, who is my office mate now. We each need to find ways that we can rejuvenate and be who we really are. Because if I tried to be, I'm trying to think who is a big rah person. Tony Robbins, I mean, is the first thing, and I don't even know that he's the right person, but I am never going to jump around on stage. And it just is not my personality. So if I try to be somebody other than myself, guess what? I've lost my uniqueness. I have to go with what strengths that I have and expand upon those strengths so that I can get my message out to the people who I want to serve.
Introversion is a big part of our fear of being seen. And a lot of people will say they are introverted. And what we learn in psychotherapy and NLP and all these other modalities, if you will, is that the tendency to be introverted stems from being constantly critiqued somewhere in your youth, either critiqued, criticized, put down, whatever it is. How big do you think that gets? And do you think that that's something that you can address with these solutions you're talking about today?
I agree with what you said, Anna, but I also have a slightly different take on it. And you recommended a book. The name is escaping me right now.
The Courage
Indigo
to Be
Adults.
Oh,
Indigo Adults.
There we go.
I believe I was born an introvert. I believe I was born a they call it HSI now, highly sensitive. I forget individual? What the I stands for. But I consider myself I was told I was nervous and too sensitive And then the criticism came in because I was different than the other children. Now, where that led is that I found my solace in books. Now I have lovely childhood friends who lived on either side of us in this small town in Western Pennsylvania, and I'm still friends with each of them to this day. So they were good friends. They were good. I had a wonderful, I mean, we think about the 1950s growing up, it's a different world once again than it is today. Wonderful childhood. But because of this sensitivity, I would find my solace in books. I remember hiding underneath my mother's sewing machine or crawling up on a little ledge that she had in her cedar closet. And my imagination, which, you know, who knows if it was really my imagination or whether I was making contact with other souls, that was my very vibrant imaginary life. Being criticized for that then, and being criticized for not being able to be like other kids, certainly played into that. But I think besides the role of being criticized, it's who I was born as. And we cannot change who we were born as. And it's more important to look at what are our strengths. And my strengths came from being able to tap into things that I could feel and see that other people couldn't. My world was so rich rather than following the more linear, do this way all the time, do it right. Favorite poem of mine that I used to read at all of my personal gatherings when I would bring people in. We called it creating the life of your dreams back then, because that's really what I'm about. And it's called Wild Geese by Mary Oliver. If you don't know her, go look for her books, her poems. If you do know her, then just sit back and enjoy these first few words that I'm going to read. And again, it's the poem Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. And it says, tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clear blue sky, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. We want to be what somebody else says we need to be. We want to be who we think we're supposed to be for our family, for our audience, for our friends, in order to be an influencer. You know, we can go on and on with that list when all the world needs is for you to be the person that you were born to be, and to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. My dog Red here, he loves to run, but he'll never be a horse. You know, a horse will never be a fish. A fish will never be a chipmunk. You know, we could go on with the animal world or the plant and flower world. We are all unique. And I think the minute we begin to embrace that and love that about ourselves, just say, I don't really care whether somebody likes what I have to say or not. It's important to me. It's important to my audience. It's how I'm serving people. And you don't have to be somebody on a soapbox, because I don't think I'm that type of person. I think I'm a much softer, gentler style, but I do know what I stand for.
But it's easier said than done, right, Susan? And even why people are here today, because
absolutely. This is not an easy button, but the things that are important to us never are. I mean, you're married and you have children, and I'm sure that you would say it's not easy to be a parent. It's not easy to be in a healthy relationship while you're building multiple businesses along the way. Nothing is easy, but if it fits your values, If that's something that's important to you, you're going to do the hard things to make it happen.
And there are things you can do to make it easier to be seen, right? There are things, and we talked about this before, and I think it's important to bring it up now that we've set the stage. And I mean, I'm sure everyone here can relate to all of the stuff you're talking about. It's this is the struggle, right? But the things we can do are also existing, and I'd love to share some of those things. And one of them we talked about was community.
Yeah, absolutely. When I brought up that while I don't like to be on camera, I can be in community and be visible. So yeah, there's always, what can you do instead of looking at what doesn't work for you or what you're afraid of or all the fears that come up. Because what is that? Fear acting as real. There's another word in there. We as humans have been taught to be fearful in order to protect our lives. So we have to look at, where is the fear protecting us? And where is the fear just something we need to have the courage to move through in ways that it works for us?
Well, and another thing you talked about before, which I'd also love to bring up now, because we've talked about this, I don't remember if it was at our last session or if it's just you and me offline, was the role of community in giving. So everything humans do, we kind of benchmark against what we know. And if we have a community of people who can tell us their experience of the things that we are yet afraid of, we have a benchmark that isn't some spiral into the nether, right? And that can also help with our fear of being seen in exponential ways.
Yeah, we need people who are going to support us. In the book writing world, when I'm coaching someone, it's often not good to tell people, their friends and family, that they're writing a book, because those who aren't going to be supportive might be like, well, why would you do that? Or, you know, the family issues of, they have a fear of being seen, and so they're going to impose that fear on you. When I've helped with web development, I often will say, don't show the website to your mailman and say, do you like this? That's not the person you want to seek out and get the feedback from. You want to get the feedback from someone who has a successful working website. So we do want to be cautious where we are receiving information and taking it as guidance. And the more that we circle up in the community that we're in, that's why we mentor people. That's why we offer the services that we do, is to bring people up higher and higher. And while I continue to be mentored, I'm in 2 mastermind groups with high-level people. This year, I was in 3 last year. I will always be working on myself so that as I up level, I can consistently help the people that I'm working with and attract other people that are coming in. So we can't do it in a vacuum, and we can't do it with people who are operating below, and I don't mean that in a hierarchy, but with energy. If we think about frequency, we want to find the people who are resonating with the same or higher frequency where we are. The lower frequency will be in the fear space. The lower frequency will be in the lack space, the gossip space, you know, that whatever those are lower frequencies. And if we have people in our life who are operating at those lower frequencies, we have the opportunity, if it's within our who we serve, to bring them up because they want to be supported to come up, or to bless them and find others who are operating at a similar or higher frequency. Because if we don't, we will stay where they are. And if we have a message that's important to us and we have a desire to serve, it's really important to keep our frequency up. It's more important than the world. The world is in such chaos right now. We want to keep our frequency up.
There is something that I very strongly believe in, is competency comes from doing it, and it brings confidence, right? So you get competent by doing, and when you do, you get confident, and that enables you to be seen. So what would you say? 1, disagree or agree? And 2, what would you encourage people to do to gain that competency?
Number 1, I agree. And number two, as we've been discussing, find the things that you can do. What one step will you do that works within your personality, your style, your way in the world? What's one thing that you can do to step forward and keep doing it until it's a no-brainer, and then find something else and step forward? And as you said, you will build the competency and the confidence as the two muscles work together, but you have to do it, as Nike would say.